Hello and welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. We are so happy to have you that we are talking with our hands, doing the motions. We are like Italians, okay? Italians. My name is Vincent, so I shouldn't stereotype like that. But anyway,
yeah, you might have to cut that.
Yeah, no, I'm not cutting it, man. Yeah. So we want to remind you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, contact us through one card, one cub, one beer at gmail.com. Subscribe to our page by clicking at the icon at the bottom right. For those of you who are watching this on Mac or PC, those of you who are listening, I'm sorry you get to miss our beautiful faces, but at least you get to hear our silky smooth voices. Support us through Patreon. Go to patreon.com and just type in the search One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, and you can support our efforts, and we will be forever grateful. If you'll notice, I meant to wear this last week. This is my Mad Magazine hat.
Oh, yeah, Alfred E.
Yeah, Al Jaffe, who was one of the people that I grew up just loving. He was a contributor and a writer for Mad Magazine, a cartoonist. For those of you who remember the Mad Magazine fold-in, he was the one who innovated that and always drew that. He passed away a few weeks ago at the age of 102. So as a Mad Magazine fan, I meant to wear this a few weeks ago and I forgot, but now I am. So, JJ, how are you doing, man?
Man, we find a new way to lose every game. It's like, what are we going to do this time? But I still believe we're a good team. And I heard a stat today that if we lose tonight, we're going to have we almost have through 25 games. It's the worst start since 1973. So I did a little digging, Vince. See what you think about this. First, the Cubs. The Cubs the first time their best start through 25 games was 21-4 in 1907. And we all know what happened then. You guys go on to win the World Series, 21-4. And your worst start through 25 games was 6-19 in 1962, 66, and 97. Now for us, our best start was 19-6 in 2015, and we went on to win 100 games and lose 62, and we lost in the National League Division Series. And then our and I believe it was
who'd you lose to?
Let me think about that. I believe it was the Cubs. That was the start of y'all's 5 years of excellence. Those 5 years. After that game, I knew the tides were changing and things were starting to turn a little different. And our worst start through 25 games was 1973, 5-20. But at the end of that year, the Cardinals were 81-81. So Cardinal fans, if you finish over 500 at the end of the year, you still got a shot at one of those wild card spots. Don't give up the ship yet. I was thinking about Ollie and what would I do differently than he would do. And I saw a stat that we had 16 different lineups so far through 24 games. And to me, that's a little, I know he's playing the odds, but when you have Tommy Edmonds made 2 errors in the last 2 games and last night killed us. We'll get to that later. But I'd put him at shortstop. And if he's not playing, have him be DH. Donovan and Gorman can play second. They're moving everybody around. And I've seen a few errors that we usually don't see. Just a little inconsistency when you're playing all over the place. I'm not making excuses. I'm just looking for something that maybe we can turn this thing around. We deserve every loss we get. So far. Also, last year the Cardinals kind of it was Arenado and Goldie carrying the team, and they had MVP years. Well, this year they're not having MVP years; they're just having good years. So and we're a very young team outside of those 2 guys. I'd like to see a lot of those young guys be a little more consistent. I think that's part of the problem too, right there. Starting pitchers getting better. The last 2 times around, they've pitched much, much better. But Vince, you can't get no worse. The first 2 rounds through our thing, it's been terrible. And Jordan Hicks pitching better his last 3 outings, but he's in low leverage situations, and I think that's what the Cardinals are going to have to do if they're going to keep him up on the team. Because he was getting rocked, and we're just playing good enough to lose. And I was going to say we're the best last place team in baseball, but Vince, I don't think I can say that. I think we're maybe the 3rd best last place team in baseball right now. But man, right. I can't wait. I can't wait for April to get over. I can't wait. Maybe May it'll turn things around. I don't know.
I know Cardinal fans are down right now. I really do, and I understand that. The world's falling apart. I keep saying things like, get rid of Marmel. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's over his head. And, filter around on down, pitching coach, so on and so forth. So I want to ask Max a question. Max, who's going to win this division?
The Pirates, clearly.
Seriously.
I think it's 50-50 between the Brewers and the Cardinals. Yeah. And I think that's how everyone going into the season was kind of maybe like 75 Cardinals, 25 Brewers. But, I mean, they're only 6 games under 500, and we're just, 20 games into the season. So 140 more to play. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are still the class of this division. They could still stand to add a pitcher and a starting pitcher. I don't know what's going to be available, but I think they'll right the ship. And if you go through a stretch like this in the middle of July, who notices? But when it's getting out of the blocks, it's pronounced. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with this team? It's kind of like the opposite of the Rays. The Rays are 20-5 right now, 20-4, 20-5. Teams go on hot streaks like that in the middle of the year, and they surge in the standings, but it doesn't look so spectacular like it does at the beginning of the year. So I'm teasing right now, but I still think the Cardinals are the class of the division. But as a St. Louis radio personality for 45 years, Mike Claiborne always says, really don't pay attention to the standings till Flag Day. So,
who I feel sorry for is the Padres. It seems like they've mortgaged everything for these next couple of years, and they're struggling as well. And they're predicted to be, it's World Series or bust for them. We were just picked to be a good team. But I don't know. The Padres, a lot of stress on that team to succeed, and they've been kind of struggling a little bit too.
Well, we played the Padres last night in the first game, and yeah, we can. Max and I will give our thoughts on the Padres when we get there. But anyway, proceed.
Well, I want to thank you because you went out and bought that Brewers voodoo doll. And they started stumbling a little bit, Vince, the Vince Opera effect right there.
That's right. I got my tiger voodoo doll and I sprinkled it with gold dust. And then I started sticking the Brewers, and the tiger stuck it to the Brewers.
Yes.
In Milwaukee.
Who would have seen that coming? And the Pirates are now leading the division, so we'll let them have their day for a moment. I kind of think the Cardinal strength, though, is our depth. And as the season goes and there'll be injuries, as you see when we get to down on the farm, the AAA team's got a lot of big league experience, and even our backup guys play quite a bit. So now starting pitching, that's a different story. We've got some young guys down in the minors, but I think our depth is the thing that's going to keep us pretty consistent all the way through. As the year goes, every team gets hit with injuries. So we'll just see what happens. Well, as this week went, Vince, I was hoping for a turnaround, and it was anything but. We started out a 3-game series in Seattle, and Seattle's a good team. And I tell you what, that pitching staff is really good. And we had to be on our game to stay in these games. And Friday.
Did you hear Robbie Ray's now out for the season?
No, I did
really?
Not hear that.
Yep. Oh. Got to a second inning in a start, and I think he tore a tendon pretty bad, and came out today. He's going to be out for the season.
Man, they can't catch a break. I tell you what, that's a great starting line rotation, and he's a big part of it. I really hate to hear that. So on Friday night, we played Seattle at Seattle, and the Mariners won 5-2. Matt's pitched against George Cubbie, and I'm telling you what, this George Cubbie, it seems like every time I see him, each year he's getting better and better. Anyway, he's 2-1 now with a 3.57 ERA and 17 strikeouts. Matt's, his ERA is sky high, but each time he's pitching, it's a little bit better and it's coming down. He went 5 1/3, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. And the defense had 2 more double plays. The Cardinals are very good at pulling double plays defensively. Very good. Seems like even when we take Arenado out and we put Donovan at third, or we put DeYoung is back, by the way, we don't lose anything defensively at all, I don't believe. Our outfield, though, I saw statistic since the first 3 games of the year, our outfield collectively is hitting, I believe it's like 220. We can't make it with that kind of hitting from our outfield.
Yeah.
Just inconsistent. But again, it seems like they're in and out of the lineup. Nobody's playing every single day. And if I was Ollie, I would have a set lineup and give guys maybe a day off here and there. That's what I would do. But he's the manager. So anyway, our pitching just has to come through. And Adam Wainwright had his first rehab start down the minors. And to be honest with you, I was hoping it would be a little bit better. He went a few innings. I think he had a pitch count of like 70. He walked a few batters and he gave up a lot of hits and runs. So anyway, that was Friday. We lose. Saturday, surprise, surprise, we lose again. And this time it was 5-4. It was a good game. Zach Thompson was the loser, and he's been so good out of the bullpen, but they did finally get to him. And you told me about this guy, Vince, and you said, watch out. They have that kid, not Julio Rodriguez, but starts with a K, and he hit a home run in Wrigley Field that went like one of the furthest home runs.
Jared Kelenic. Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you what, that kid looks fantastic. Seems like he was always up in a big situation and delivered. So you told us about him, and I mean, he killed us that game. Michaelis pitched and went 5 1/3, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. His ERA is coming down too, but it was so sky high, I had nowhere to go but down. And the Cardinals did get 9 hits, but we struck out 15 times. Oh man, that's just
wow.
That just ain't getting it. Kelenic went 2 for 4 with a home run, and Tommy Edman hit a home run. And the offense, Contreras and Edman both had 2 hits. So Contreras is up to 279 and Tommy Edman's hit 275. So we lose that game. And just like usually what the Cardinals do, we lose the first 2 games and we somehow usually salvage the last game. Thank goodness. So Sunday we had a game with Seattle and we won 7-3, and the Cardinals are now 9-13 at that time. And Jack Flaherty had a quality start. And it seems like Jack Flaherty is coming along. He's been our most consistent pitcher this year. And in that game, he went 6 innings, 3 earned runs, and he had like 91 pitches through 5, but he wanted to go back out there and finish that 6th inning. I respect that. Save that bullpen up a little bit. 3 earned runs, 9 Ks, and 2 walks. His walks are coming down. He's getting through innings much better. It seems like he was always hitting that 1 inning where he threw like 25 to 30 pitches. So starting to get through that better, and he's become the ace of the staff. Paul DeYoung is back and went 3 for 4. But I heard a stat on him. The last 3 times he's come back from some sort of rehab or something, he always hits a home run the first day he's back, and we get all excited, and then he usually hits 215 or something like that, But he plays good. And Newbar went 3 for 5. And in the Seattle fans, unless there was just a lot of Cardinal fans up there, they were doing the new thing when he came up. He met Ichiro before one of the games, and
I saw that.
Yeah, very respectful, and I think the Seattle fans like that he showed so much respect to Ichiro and the history of the Seattle team. Our bullpen went 3 innings, no earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and our outfield went 5 for 13. That is lighting it up for the Cardinal outfield with 2 RBIs and a home run. And anyway, I was just going to talk about Newbar a little bit there. He did great. So now we're headed to San Francisco, and San Francisco is about a team equal to us, about the same identical record. So, hey, this will be some some good baseball, somebody who's kind of on our level right now. And let's see, the Giants shut us out 4-0. And every once in a while, you just run into a hot pitcher. And Alex Cobb is a very good pitcher, but he hasn't pitched good yet this year. Well, he decided to do it against the Cardinals. He pitched a complete game shutout, 6 hits, 9 Ks, and he was on his game. He was dealing up there, and the Cardinals, we just had a tough time with him. Now, Montgomery on the other side, he pitched our second quality start in a row. 6 innings, no earned runs, 6 Ks, 1 walk. And one of the big plays in the game, Tom Edman kicked the ball, which led to a big inning. And there was a kid from San Francisco, I'm going to say Estrada, who had a 13 pitch at bat, and Montgomery finally struck him out. But we're running into things like that. These guys are up there battling, and when you hit one guy with 12 pitches, that kind of limits how far you're going to go right there.
Yeah.
And our outfield, 12 at bats, 2 hits. Just like you have those things where your first baseman that's down at AAA, you've been keeping track. I'm keeping track of our outfield's hitting, and it's been pretty atrocious. And then last night was the toughest game of the year. It's probably the game I'll never forget for the rest of the year. You can't count on nothing until that final out. And I was starting to feel, Vince, I let myself feel good about life for just a second. I thought, oh, you know what? This is the way we should be playing. This is it. So I'll get into the game in a minute, but this is the thing. Blake Sable. This guy killed us. He's a Rule 5 draft choice. He come in there. This loss was very tough. And the Giants threw a bullpen game at us. I don't know how you guys feel about a bullpen game, but it's tough when you face 8 pitchers and he only throw like 4 guys at a time. Sometimes maybe one of the guys don't have it that day, but also just when you're starting to learn how they're pitching that day, they switch a pitcher. That was just tough right there. Each team had 9 hits, and let's see. Yaz got 2 hits for them. Goldie, Contreras, Carlson each had 2 hits, and our outfield was 2 for 9 as usual. But we came back. We were down. We got a 4-2 lead. We bring in Helsley. Everything's right with the world. And all of a sudden, Edman had a ball go off his chest. And then there was a hit. And we had 2 on. And a run scores. And then Helsley calms down. He gets 2 people out. And he throws a 1-ball, 2-strike changeup or slider or something. It wasn't his fastball. And it gets smoked to dead center. It would have went out of any ballpark and we end up losing. And I heard Al Rabowski after the game on the post-game show say, you can't get beat with your secondary pitch. When you've got a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, you got to go in there and dominate. Don't let them beat you with your secondary pitch. I have to agree with Al Rabowski on that one. That hurt. And it may take us a while to get over that one. Vince, it can't get any worse in Cardinal land. My gosh, that's all I got for Cardinal news.
Can you get into the Jordan Walker situation?
Yeah, today we just heard they sent Jordan Walker down. I was going to get you guys' thoughts on that. Jordan Walker's done nothing but whatever they asked him to do. He's come through. He's hitting 274. I think he has 3 walks and 20 strikeouts. I think the strikeouts is his only real bugaboo, but he's hitting 274. He's playing a solid defense. He's not one of our elite defenders, but he's good. And they sent him down, and I have no clue why they did that. Put him at DH. He's been one of the bright spots on the team, and they sent him down. And, I know there's a lot of people out there talking about Ollie, like he's over. I've heard people today say he's in over his head. And with the O'Neal situation where he got onto him in front of the reporters about hustling, and now you got Jordan Walker. I think that you bring him up, you play him, and let him go. He's on a 3-game hitting streak as well. How do y'all feel about that? I think that's crazy.
Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate. He's actually been a negative player by WAR. His actual position is third base, right? So they're having him move around. That's probably it. he's barely a league average hitter. He's got a 101 OPS plus. He's not getting on base too much. The 20 strikeouts is kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's a 30%, greater than 30% K rate. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of Christopher Morel for us. He didn't make the team at spring training, even though he went off. He's continuing to go off, which I'll cover in the farm report. But he had those same kind of defensive issues to some extent, and same thing with the strikeouts. He was striking out at like a 35% rate. Was still an above average hitter, but sometimes stuff like that is better suited for AAA, where they're going to get 5 at bats a game or whatever. So I can understand it, but at the same time, I mean, that's probably not ideal in the clubhouse. If everyone's like, "This is our guy," he was going to be our rookie of the year, or whatever. That might kind of sting a little bit.
My feeling on it is the entire outfield is not hitting. And is this sending a message? We're sending the golden boy down? I don't know. But he was, Max just said, he's league average, but everybody else is below league average, apparently, in the outfield. So I think this is an indication that the Cardinals they still think that they're going to win this division. They just need to start winning games now. And perhaps they thought that the best way to start winning games now is to send down a league average guy and get some of their established outfielders more at bats, let them find their groove, so on and so forth. But my feeling is he's a rookie, and he didn't play AAA last year, did he? It was AA?
I believe straight from AA to big leagues.
Just like Morel.
Shouldn't you kind of expect this? If you're going to bring him north at the beginning of the year, this is something you should expect with rookies. If they didn't have that much confidence in him, which apparently they didn't, they gave him a pretty quick ship out to AAA. Why didn't they just start him in AAA and then bring him up later in the year? I don't know. Sometimes the way things are happening with the Cardinals this year, it's kind of a head scratcher. I could see, like last year, we brought Morel up during the season, and he did finish the year with us, but we were a terrible team. This year, there's some skills Morel has that we could have used early in the year. He can catch the ball in right field. He can play some third base. He can pinch run. He can hit a little bit. He's got some pop. But our decision was, you start the year in AAA, get your strikeout rate down, make yourself a major league hitter, and then come up and help us. And I don't know why the Cardinals didn't kind of have that philosophy with Jordan Walker. It seems to me, if you bring him north at the very beginning, you're all in. And apparently they weren't all in, because it's not like he's hurting the team. He's just having a very average year, but he's a rookie. I don't know. I guess they want the strikeouts down, maybe sharpen his eye a little bit. 3 walks and 20 strikeouts is not a very good ratio. So, and the analytics, they don't lie. He's an average player right now. But I think a lot of it could be that they want to make sure that they get their established hitters more at bats so they can find themselves. Because when you're hitting 220 as an outfield, there's too much talent there for that to last.
Yeah.
Well, in Cub news, I'm going to start with Memphis versus Hazini again.
Yeah.
This is up to date. Now, so far, Mancini and Hosmer, who are both in the lineup tonight, they haven't gotten to bat yet. By the way, Smiley's pitched 2 perfect innings so far. So we'll get into that.
Here we go.
Memphis at AAA has 69 at bats, 5 home runs, 21 RBIs. He has 15 walks and 17 strikeouts. So his strikeouts have gotten higher than his walks, but still really close. He's hitting 275. The average has come down about 18 points since last week, but his OPS is 953. I love it. Hazini had a good week, especially by Hazini standards. Hazini, which is Hosmer and Mancini put together, that conglomeration, has 129 at-bats this year, 3 home runs, 23 RBIs, 9 walks, and 35 strikeouts. So that walk to strikeout rate is not good for our first base position. Last week they were hitting 200, and I said they've had a good week. Their average is up to 232, and their OPS is up to 619, and it was 541 last week. I still want my first baseman to have an OPS approaching or in the 800s at least. And I still don't get why Mancini plays a lot of first base and then Hosmer's DHing when Hosmer's a better first baseman. I don't know. But anyway.
Actually, I think I know why that is.
Why is that?
Because eventually Hosmer is going to get released or DFA'd, and they want Mancini sharp at first base. If I had to guess, that's probably why they want to get him reps. Because eventually he will be the starting third baseman, or not third baseman, first baseman. And if I had to guess, it's going to be within the next month or so.
That makes sense. That makes sense because when Mervis comes up, he's probably going to DH mostly against right-handers. So that makes sense. I'm very excited. Tomorrow, Kyle Hendricks gets his first start, rehab start in AAA. It is a day game, and I hope I can catch it. I think they're going to limit him to somewhere between 60 and 70 pitches. And in his simulated games, he's looked pretty good. So
he's touched 90.
Yeah, touching 90 for Hendricks is like touching 100 for one of your pitchers. He was sitting about 87 last year with his fastball. We right now, because of the way the schedule is, we're doing a 4-man rotation. Wisniewski is going to be skipped, and Wisniewski is not. He's had one great start, and the rest of them have been kind of, well, they've been bad. So it looks like when Hendricks comes back, Wisniewski may be the odd man out. The only thing that could save Wisniewski right now is that Taillon is on the injured list. And when we go back to a 5-man rotation, maybe Taillon's still out and we would have Hendricks fill in there. But right now we're at a 4-man rotation. Wisniewski's going to probably get at least one more start and try to prove himself. But I'm excited. You can never have too much pitching, and I hope Kyle Hendricks is at least the good Kyle Hendricks. As far as transactions this week, last Thursday, we did place Jamison Taillon on the injured list. He has a strain in his left groin. It doesn't appear to be too serious. And we called up Javier Assad to make that emergency start on Thursday. And then Friday, we called up Jose Estrada, and we optioned Assad back to AAA. So Assad just came up, made the emergency start, went down. Estrada came up, and we'll get into that a little bit later, why we need Estrada. On the 25th, which was 2 days ago, Bellinger's been placed on the paternity list. How dare his girlfriend have a baby in the middle of the season? But so I don't know, paternity list is usually what, 3-4 games.
It's like 1 to 4 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Short.
So he will be back, and so we recalled Nelson Velasquez, who came up to bat hitting 750, and then he got a hit. And I told Kath, I said he's batting 800 now. So anyway, wow. When Bellinger comes back, I'm sure Velasquez is going to go back down. So Thursday, we played the Dodgers. Now, remember, we had taken 2 or 3 from them in Los Angeles. And so Thursday's game, we start, shoot, hold on. Assad, that's right. He made the emergency start. Pitched 3 innings, gave up a couple runs. It's an emergency start. I can't really judge a player when they make an emergency start because you're flying in from Iowa, you're out of your routine, so on and so forth. So, but we were tied 2-2 going into the ninth, and Fulmer blew the game for us, and
That's the way to
we
put
lost. Yeah, he gave up
it. In
4
grand
runs
fashion.
4 runs in the ninth,
Oh,
and we lost 6-2. The only bright spot, Mancini had a couple of hits, including a double, and Bellinger continues to haunt his old team by hitting a home run. So Fulmer, who only pitched a third of an inning in the ninth, gave up 3 hits, 4 runs. All of them earned a base on a walk, and he gave up the home run that finally got him yanked out of the game. Fulmer's been terrible this year, and we were really counting on him as a veteran presence to fill that back part of the bullpen until these young arms can get kind of pushed back there. I did not expect Fulmer or Boxberger to be at the end of the bullpen, in the back end of the bullpen, come the middle of the end of the season. I certainly expected them to be at least adequate, and that hasn't been the thing. So we lost the first game to the Dodgers. The next game was awesome. We had a rematch of Drew Smiley against Julio Urias.
ooh.
And we beat them in Los Angeles. Smiley pitched great there. And so we have this rematch. Smiley pitched 7 1/3 perfect innings. And I'm not kidding you. His stuff was it in the third inning that I texted you no hitter question mark? He had that kind of
Yeah.
stuff from the first pitch. And apparently he's got that kind of stuff tonight because after 2 innings, he hasn't given up a hit yet. So he's pitching lights out. We get into the 8th, and who was it? David Peralta. He
You
hit.
hit the walk-off versus us in LA.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah, so he's got our number this season.
Yeah, except this time he hit a little dribbler that's going out between the mound and the catcher on the third base side. And the exit velocity was 32 miles an hour, kind of the way I drive down the interstate. But Smiley goes to get the ball, and as Smiley is getting the ball, Gomes is coming out to get the ball too. And Smiley picks up the ball, and Gomes tries to avoid him, but Smiley turns to throw, and they collide. And so that's the only hit that Smiley gave up. He faced one more batter, got him out, and then they got him out of the game. So 7 2/3 innings, 1 hit of shutout ball. I don't know if they would have thrown him out anyway because it was almost a perfect bunt. But man alive, he gave up nothing hard hit. I don't remember a ball that was in the 90s as far as exit velocity. Looked so sharp. And we scored 13 runs. And Nico had 4 hits, including his first home run of the season. Drove in 4 runs. Suzuki went 2 for 4 with a couple of RBIs. Patrick Wisdom went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a home run. He has killed the Dodgers this year. Cody Bellinger, 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs. Trey Mancini went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. It was just a wonderful game. It was a wonderful pitch game, and we really did rattle Urias. Urias is 3-0 against the league. Against the Cubs, he's 0-2. So he's 3-2 this year, and this is who you and I picked to win the Cy Young Award. So we've got him twice. We are done with the Dodgers now, so we're not going to face him again.
Very good.
Well, one thing that I was excited about, at the end of the game, we brought in Estrada, the guy we just called up, and it was low leverage. We're winning 13-0, so they bring him in, and we did get to see him pitch. He walked a couple of batters. He struck out 3. He's got swing and miss stuff. He can touch 100 with his fastball, and he may be our solution at the end of the bullpen. Maybe not at the end of the year. It may be a little bit sooner because Boxberger and Fulmer are just terrible. I'll get a little more into that. So the third game against the Dodgers on Saturday, we lost 9-4. It was closer than that. It was 6-4 going into the ninth. We gave up 3 runs. Wisniewski started and he pitched really bad. He has a 6.23 ERA for the year. In his 4 starts, he has pitched 1 gem against the A's. And other than that, in the A's, let's face it, are like between a AA and a AAA team. He's just not pitched well at all. Some of the good news, Horner had a couple of hits, another home run, so he's now got 2 home runs. Hosmer had a hit, hit a double. We get towards the end of the game. Now we're not winning, but it's just 6-4, and we go into the ninth. We bring Boxberger in 2/3 of an inning. He used up 2 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, gave up 2 home runs, looked terrible. So, and I'll get to that a little more about Fulmer and Boxberger here in a game or two. So then Sunday, the finale against the Dodgers. Hopefully we can split the series. We lost 7-3. Stroman was pitching good. It was 2-2 in the 5th inning, going into the 6th, and then Stroman kind of fell apart a little bit, and we ended up losing 7-3. We were facing Kershaw, which is always a tough task. Bellinger had a couple of hits. Gomes had a couple of hits. Gomes hit his 4th home run, and Fulmer pitched the end of that game in the 9th, pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned to jack his ERA up to 8.68. So, at least he's collecting a paycheck. And so we had a Monday off, and we were 1-3 against the Dodgers, and we got the Padres coming in. And last night we won 6-0. Horner had 3 RBIs, had a bases loaded triple, so he went 1 for 5 with bases loaded triple. Yan Gomes went 4 for 4 with a home run, 3 RBIs. Yan Gomes is hitting .309 with 5 home runs, and we're not really missing Contreras yet, so I'm really happy with his offensive output, and I've been pretty happy with his defense too. But the pitchers love throwing to him, and we were going to have like what was explained to be like a 60-40 split. Gomes would play 60% of the time, and Tucker Barnhart 40% of the time. That's kind of got to be like a 70-30 split. Gomes is playing a lot because we just can't keep him out of the lineup because he is contributing so much. Justin Steele got the victory, 5 1/3 innings, no earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks. He had a little bit of some issues every now and then, but he pitched his way out of them. And that's one of the things that I really love about Justin Steele. He can bear down, knuckle down, and pitch his way out of situations. His ERA this year is 1.19. Alzolay, Leiter Jr., and Keegan Thompson finished off the shutout. None of them had their best stuff, but they got into jams and they pitched their way out of them, which I love when a pitcher can do that. So we are 2-3 this week. We are done with the Dodgers. Oh shoot! Well, this is terrible. This is horrible.
Uh-oh.
The Padres got a hit in the 3rd inning. How do you get a hit off Drew Smiley? I don't know. But anyway, it was a 2-3 week for us. We got the game tonight. Now, we'll see how that goes, and that'll be on next week's podcast. But we have this stretch that we're still in. We have a little reprieve. We play the Nationals, and who was the other team we're playing this week?
The Marlins, they always scare me, but
yeah, the pitching
we should beat them.
There.
Yeah.
So we get that little reprieve, and then we pick back up with some heavy hitters again. And if we can get through this first third of the season, flirting with 500, I'll be really happy because we're just going to get better, and then we're going to start playing a lot more of the weaker teams because we have run a gauntlet so far. And what's our record right now?
13-9.
13-9 against great competition. So even though we won't 1-3 over the weekends with the Dodgers, nothing to panic about. We 3-4 with them during the season, which I'll take. And so far, we've taken one game from the Padres, who are another playoff team. So I like where we're at right now.
I've seen two of the Cub games, and I tell you what, Vince, they're fun to watch. I think you got a good mixture of youth and older players. I was getting my car fixed Friday when Smiley was pitching his, had that perfect game going, and they kept interrupting MLB channel and going over to the Cub game, and it seemed like a playoff atmosphere. And I just think right now there's a lot of momentum with the Cubs. They're fun to watch. I'm a Cardinal fan, but I like good baseball, and I really like the way the team's energized and playing as a unit. It's really fun to watch right now.
Well, I'll say this. After 2016, we had great players. It felt something was off. I don't know if it was staleness. I don't know if it was, okay, we got the World Series monkey off our back, too much relaxation. Last year, the second half of the season, the team felt cohesive. It felt like the chemistry was there. Now the talent wasn't there, but the chemistry was there. And I attribute a lot of that with Marcus Stroman coming, and he is a leader. And like I said last week, when Wisniewski got out of a jam in Oakland, Stroman was on the field to way to go. He's just such a positive influence, and we've added to that with Bellinger, who's a positive influence. Swanson is a heck of a leader, and even though he's not going to be with the team for the whole season, Hosmer has really contributed to that too. We've just got good chemistry, and it comes through when you watch this team. And from 2017 until the big trade-off in 2021, is that just last year? Or... Yeah, 2 years ago. We're at 323. Yeah. So that talented team, it just felt like there was a lot of staleness there, and there was just something off. And I feel like this group could be something special. I'm not saying they're going to be something special this year, but they could grow into something like that. What are your thoughts, Max? You watched as many games as I have.
I've got, kind of like, I have a lot of thoughts. Kind of just going back, we need to give Jed Hoyer a lot of credit. Our rebuild it feels like it's over at this point. We're playing good baseball. We're spending money, stuff like that. When you think about it, they really only intentionally sucked from the trade deadline in 2021 to the trade deadline in 2022. It lasted about roughly a season's worth. Because that second half, last year they clearly were a winning ball club. They went like 37 and like 30 or something like that. And it was definitely worth it. Everyone they've drafted, everyone they've picked up in trade since then has really hit it off. This is a team that is primed to take a step forward next year. And obviously they're going to need to spend more money. They're going to need like an actual ace and stuff like that. But as far as the team right now goes, they can compete with anyone. Last season they went 0-6 against the Dodgers, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they won a game against the Dodgers. Playing them close to where, every game was winnable. It's not like we were blown out by the Dodgers at any point. Any blowout happened in like the 8th or the 9th. It's just a fun ball club to watch. Everyone's hitting really well. There are guys who can take steps forward. I think Nico Horner has another gear in him as a hitter. And, I'm his biggest fan, basically, but he's got basically 700 plate appearances total in the big leagues. There's still a chance for him if he starts pulling the ball more. Like that's what we saw last week when he had his 2 homers. He's able to pull it. If he can tap into his pull power more often, he's going to get more of those doubles, triples, home runs to that left alley. He's got another gear in him. And Swanson isn't even hitting for power yet. But he, at the same time, he's cut his K rate down. I think it's sustainable. I'm also all in on the Bellinger bounce back. when your K rate drops that much. He was striking out a ton last year, and then in 2021 before that, when he had those 2 abysmal seasons, striking out a ton. He's back to walking again. This is a team that, through their hot start, they could be better. I think their Pythagorean win percentage is like 15-9, so they've actually been a little bit unlucky. But this is the most fun I've had watching Cubs baseball in the past 2 years, which is nice.
I concur. It's been a fun team to watch, and I'm glad you got to experience that Friday game because man, Smiley was special. He was so good. So we're you want to go get Brody and we'll do down on the farm?
You want me to go get Brody? All
yeah,
right,
go get Brody.
I'll go get Brody.
All right. Well, JJ goes and looks for Brody and finds Brody. We still have to do our overview of AAA, and then being that the minor league seasons have started, we're going to kind of see how the teams are doing and who's having some good years, so on and so forth in the minor leagues. So we'll start off with Brody doing the AAA, kind of going over the AAA team, and Max will go over the Cubs AAA team, and then we'll have Brody talk about what's going on in the season and Max talking about what's going on in the season. Did you get any of that, Brody?
Yeah, I got it all.
All right. Brody,
yeah,
you really got ugly.
It's been a rough week being a Cardinal fan. Look at me, I'm falling apart. Oh, you want me to go over AAA team?
Yeah, but why don't you explain why you're dressed up like your son?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Devotion, he's out seeing Wicked at the Fox Theater with his mom and his sister and his brother and a bunch of friends. So they went out there. So I'm pulling double duty. I hope I hold my end of the deal up here in the for the Down on the Farm segment, which is by far one of our favorite segments in all of One Cardinal, One Cub, One Beardland.
Now, Brody does realize that he won't be paid for this segment, that it's going to go to you.
Yeah, it's going to me.
You guys get paid?
I give him $10.
Once that came out, sorry.
I give him $10. When he puts in an application, he can say he's a correspondent for the minor league Cardinals.
Oh, it's on my resume already.
Hey, there you go. Very nice. Very nice.
So tell us, give us an overview of this AAA Cardinal team.
We have a AAA team in Memphis, Tennessee, and I think it's great. It's very close to St. Louis. It's not far. It seems like we're shuffling players back and forth. We've been there since 1998. We play at AutoZone Park, and that park opened in 2000. It's a stone throw from the Peabody. Have you been to Memphis before? You ever made it down there?
I haven't been to Memphis in 30 years.
Well, the Peabody Hotel where they bring the ducks out, and they go to the fountain, and they have a red carpet, a big tradition where the ducks come up and ride the elevator all the way up to the top. It's a stone throw from the Peabody Hotel and the greatest barbecue place on the face of God's green earth, the Rendezvous Restaurant. You guys, I will invite you. We'll go down there, see a weekend series, and go to the Rendezvous. It'll change your life. It's like you've been listening to Peter, Paul, and Mary, and all of a sudden somebody put on Led Zeppelin. You'll see colors that didn't exist. All right. So Rendezvous Barbecue, Peabody Hotel, and the Cardinals Memphis affiliate down there, the Memphis Redbirds. The Cardinals and Memphis got together in 1998, and the first 2 years they played at Tim McCarver Stadium. Tim McCarver was a famous Cardinal player, famous MLB broadcaster, and he's from Memphis, Tennessee. We have won title down there. We've won the division 4 times, the conference 5, and they've had some success down there. And it seems like about every 5 years we get a good group of young players, and a lot of them ended up coming up to the St. Louis. St. Louis is one of those teams that a lot of our guys are homegrown. Let's see. Through these years at AutoZone Stadium, we have played 3,470 games. And we've won 1,713 and lost 1,697. So they've got a winning tradition going down there. But Memphis has been a city that's paid its dues. It actually had a professional team in 1877, the Memphis Reds. And they've always been a team down there, all but since 1877, all for about 6 years. And I'll get into that in a minute. I'm just going through their history right now, but they've been called the Reds, and they've been called the Grays and the Browns and the Giants. In 1893, they were called the Fever Germs. How about that? Let's go, Fever Germs. Let's go. Yeah, that's a mascot. I got to see that thing. You know, I don't know. It's like the Fever Germs. They were the Egyptians. Sounds like a 1950s like rock and roll show. The Egyptians, the Turtles, and then they became the Chickasaws. And basically they shortened the name of the Chickasaws down to the Chicks, and they were the Memphis Chicks for a long, long time.
Bo Jackson played for the Memphis Chicks.
He played for the Memphis Chicks. I know the Memphis Chicks at one time was affiliated with the Montreal Expos, but apparently they were the Kansas City Royals too.
Yeah, they were with the Royals at one time.
You go down there, and I mean, they didn't have many sports down there. It was wrestling with Jerry Lawler and the Memphis Chicks. That's about what they had going on down there. Anyway, in 1960, their stadium burned down, so they were without a team for about 6 years, and then or 7 years. And it was just too expensive for them to build a stadium back, and they came back as the Memphis Blues in '68. And they were and then they moved that team eventually to Jackson, Tennessee. There was a AA team, and they became the Memphis Redbirds in '98 and became a AAA team. Now, down there in Memphis this year, we're 15-6, and it's good to see somebody's winning in St. Louis land. We're 15-6, and I would love to see that. But listen to this lineup down there. These are guys that are playing down at Memphis, and there are a lot of names you'll recognize. Juan Yepes, Mason Wynn, and a lot of Cardinal fans wanted to see Mason Wynn come up with the big team because his defense is ready at the moment. But he was only in AA last year, and now he's up in AAA, and he's hitting .202. His defense is spectacular. He's got 8 stolen bases. He's hit a home run and has an RBI, but he's got 6 walks and 24 strikeouts. So he still has a lot of work before he gets up here, but this kid defensively looks like an all-star type of player. So Mason Wynn's down there. We have Oscar Mercado, who has played for the Cardinals and the Indians, and now he's back with the Cardinals. Ivan Herrera, who was our backup catcher, but now that we have Contreras, Kisner's the backup, and Herrera went down to AAA. Moises Gomez, who almost made the team out of spring training. He was the guy who hit 39 home runs last year in our minor leagues. Paul DeYoung was down there until he just got called up. And we have a guy down there, a first baseman DH named Luca Baker, and he's hitting .303 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. And he looks like right now he's the hottest hitter down in Memphis, so we may see him. But the problem is we've got a ton of we got almost everybody on our team can play first base, and everybody on our team can be a DH. So I don't know, maybe he'll be in a trade sometime, or I don't know, maybe he will make it up here. But our pitchers, this is the hope. This is the guys that we do have 4 guys, I think, that could come up and help out the team. One is Dakota Hudson. A lot of people remember him. He's been with the Cardinals 3 different years. Well, this year he didn't make the rotation. He's down there, and he's 1-1 with a 5.40 ERA. So he's working on his stuff. Matthew Liberatore is the one that he has really this year he's made big advancements. He's 3-1 with a 2.60 ERA, 36 strikeouts and 9 walks. His velocity's up. He's starting to hit his spots, and a lot of people thought, the trade for Rosarina and him was a big bust, but this kid's coming on, and he could be something special. So stay tuned. Things could change. We have Andrew Suarez, who's 3-0 with a 3.07, and a kid named Gracefio, who a lot of people's been talking about being the next big pitcher for the Cardinals. He's 1-1 with a 3.18 ERA. And we have some other guys down there who's made appearances down in our bullpens. And I think this year we're going to see a lot of guys traveling back and forth. There's always injuries. Now you can rest the guy for 10 days, and maybe some of these guys can fill in. So Memphis looks good. I'm excited about Memphis. And right now they're winning, and it's a great place to see a ball game. If anybody gets a chance, I'd go down there.
Well, Max, tell us what's going on in Iowa.
Well, things are pretty good. They're off to a 13-7 start, so very solid so far. The Cubs AAA affiliate is also known as the Cubs. They're the Iowa Cubs. It's not the most creative name on earth, but I guess Redbirds and Cardinals are pretty similar too. And they're up in Des Moines, so a mere 2.5-hour drive from me, like a bit farther for St. Louis people, I guess. It's like 5.5 hours, 6 hours. But Marty Peavy is their manager, and they play at Principal Park, which seats about 12,000 people, so pretty standard for a minor league stadium. And right now, this AAA team, it would probably beat the current Oakland A's, I would imagine, because they have a really great blend of depth guys who have major league experience, and they also have some good prospects too. Some guys to watch are obviously Matt Mervis, who is putting up a 950 OPS. He's not getting pitches to hit. People are scared of him. So he's hitting 270 right now, but he's walking so much that he's really just not getting anything to hit. He's getting a lot of junk. Christopher Morel is off to an incredibly hot start. He had like a mini skid, but he actually ended that today by hitting another homer. He has 7 homers in about 20 AAA games, so he's red hot. Some other guys, Brennan Davis, he's kind of off to a slow start. He's OPSing about 600, but over the past calendar week, he's kind of heated up a little bit. Guys in the rotation, they've got Riley Thompson, who's pretty solid. I don't think he's on the 40-man yet, but he has some really nasty stuff. Caleb Killian, he had a really bad first start where he gave up like 7 earned runs in like 2 innings, but since then he's kind of settled down. I think he's actually starting Friday or Saturday for the big league team because Assad can't get called back up because 15-day. So he'll be back up and he'll be starting with the big league club. Then they have Roenis Elias, who has kind of bounced around a bit. I think he was a starter for Seattle for a couple of years. He had a really good stint in the Dominican Winter League, I want to say, where he went like 40 innings with no runs given up. So they've got a solid rotation. A lot of future big league bats there. David Bodie's down there. Mike Talkman is down there. Former Cubs closer Rowan Wick is figuring some things out down there. And of course, they now have Kyle Hendricks, who is going to be joining them for the next few weeks, hopefully. Well, hopefully it's only a week or two. Some general updates. Every affiliate in the Cubs farm system is currently over 500. Some guys who are hot. I'd like to give shout outs to really kind of the 3 best pitching prospects in the system, in my opinion. Cade Horton, Ben Brown, and Jordan Wicks. Cade Horton was the Cubs 2022 first round pick. He has 14 Ks in 10 innings pitched, and he has not given up a run yet or an extra base hit. So he might be a little overmatched in Myrtle Beach, if I had to guess. Once the weather warms up a bit, he'll get probably another start down there, and then he'll be up in South Bend. Ben Brown, who I know you really like, 15 innings pitched, 1 earned run. He's on the 40-man. I was kind of quietly hoping that he would actually get the start on Friday for the big league team, but he'll be down there in Double-A for a little bit.
I like his stuff better than Killian's. And every time I've seen him pitch, it looks like a young Wainwright. The big hook curveball that falls out of the sky is, that's just the gift when you can throw that. He just needs to control his fastball a little bit. But doesn't he have like 22 strikeouts in the 15 innings?
Yeah, he's striking out a lot of people. One of the things I'm worried actually about with Killian is that I think his last outing, he didn't strike out anyone. People are swinging and they're putting the ball in play against him, which is, for a guy who was originally, a command, strikeout guy who can locate pitches really well, that's kind of concerning when guys are they're clearly seeing him really well. So I don't have a ton of faith for when he starts on Friday or Saturday or whenever he needs to start. But it's that Jordan Wicks, I think his last outing was solid. He's really, of his 4 outings, only one of them was bad. I think he gave up a couple home runs in that one, but he still has a 2.47 ERA on the season. So that AA rotation is just absolutely stacked right now with them and Daniel Palencia. I mean, really powerful stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ben Brown in Chicago at some point this season. Wicks might get the call too. He has such a high floor as a starter. I mean, his changeup is just so good. Position player wise, a lot of really fun names here. PCA has a 1.OPS. He missed the last few games with some general illness we didn't get the specifics of, but he's back. And today, he had a 16 pitch at bat, which he ended with a grand slam. So just an awesome moment. He turned 21 last month. He's absolutely destroying AA pitching. If I had to guess, when midseason farm updates come out, I think he's going to be a top 5 prospect in baseball, a universal top 5 prospect in baseball, especially once guys like Jordan Walker graduate and some of the really higher upper echelon guys are kind of out of the way. He's just so good.
Let me interject real quick. Went to the art museum today with my wife and daughter, and Max sends me this PCA 16 pitch at bat grand slam, and then he sends me the video, and they condensed the video to just the pitches of fouling off some nasty pitches, and it just went on, and then finally, if I was a pitcher, I don't know if I could have made it to pitch 16 without finally just giving in. The pitcher just maybe he didn't mean to groove it, but after 16 pitches of high leverage, you get tired. And it was a spectacular at bat. And I was like, yes, that's what I like to see, is the discipline to keep fouling off the pitches till you can get the one you can handle and then hitting it hard. And PCA is not a big guy, but man, he's got pop in his bat. That wasn't his MO when we got him. He was defense. But man, he has shown he can hit, and he can hit with some thud. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that hitting is just icing on the cake, because he is what Scott said. He has an 80 grade glove, which 80 grade tools are rare. Top of my head, I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. had an 80 grade hit tool. Wander Franco had an 80 grade hit tool. An 80 grade field tool, that's insane. That's a Gold Glove defender, currently, which I've heard people say. People were saying that when he was drafted. The routes he takes are just amazing, and he's athletic enough to pull it off. He's quick on the bases. He's got great baseball IQ. He's kind of a scout's dream, and all I can say is thank you, Mets, for giving him up for 2 months of Javi Baez and Trevor Williams. So that's nice. A couple other position players I want to highlight: Christian Hernandez and Moises Ballesteros. They are teenagers in full season ball who are currently putting up above average numbers. A lot of people really like Christian Hernandez. They think he's got a very projectable comp. He's got big size. People like to compare him to Machado, which is lofty. That's very lofty, but if your ceiling is Machado, I mean, that's an excellent ball player to have. And when you're so young, you have so much time to develop. Miguel Amaya and Pablo Aliendo, the Tennessee Smokies catchers, they're both putting up 1.OPSs, which, Amaya, he's struggled with injury for the past couple of years, had Tommy John. So to see him come back, I think he'll be promoted to Iowa within the next week or two, because he's already been in AA for quite some time. Honorable mention, Kevin Made, who is hitting well for a guy who many people say is a defense first. He's kind of like Ed Howard in that aspect, where you don't really expect him to hit, but if the bat comes along, that's a top 100 prospect in the making. So he's hitting well, and he's putting up solid defense. So just like to give a shout to him.
Very good. How are the AAA teams doing with the Cardinals organization?
We have some really good players. As teams, they're just doing okay. Springfield, we're 5-11. I'm going to sing the same song our major league team is. It's early, but it's 5-11. They have a kid down there that's in our top 10 prospects, not in top 10 overall, top 10 Cardinal prospects, named Michael McCreevy, and he's got 2 wins, and he's got a 1.45 ERA. Remember, this is AA ball. They've shown as far as him in AA ball, he stands out. He's an all-star amongst the AA guys. He's looking very, very good. Down there hitting, we have a kid who's a first baseman named Chandler Redmond who's got 5 home runs, and he's leading the team in RBIs. And that's where Springfield is, where Adam Wainwright's down there rehabbing. I thought he'd go to Memphis, but they sent him down to Springfield. Maybe it's because of the team schedules too. Maybe Memphis is out of town. I'm not sure. But anyway, we've got some kids that look pretty good. And to be honest, I don't get to see any of their games. On the Sunday paper, I kind of look through and see who's really having good weeks and things like that. But anyway, we got a kid down there, Coppernick, that's hitting .311, and a kid that's got about 3 stolen bases. Nothing super, but we do have that McCreevy kid, and I think he'll be up in AAA by the end of the year. He's about 2 years away yet. And we have a kid too that led our minor leagues last year, and Tinko, and I think I seen him in spring training, and he's down there, but I haven't heard nothing big on him. In Peoria, the Peoria Chiefs, the advanced A team is 7-9, and to be honest with you, a lot of names I really don't know much about. Anybody that really stands out, there's a kid down there named Victor Scott II, and he seems to lead us in everything offensively. He's an outfielder, and he's hitting .276. He's got 10 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, 10 runs scored. Kind of lighting it up down there. And that's he
needs to become a star and get a $500 million contract, because if your name is Victor Scott II, you should be a multimillionaire.
Well, why is that? It just sounds good,
like a millionaire's name. I am Victor Scott II, and this is my 3rd Lamborghini.
Well, I like that. Yeah, I guess there is some success with names right there. But this is where we also have Tink Hens, this kid that looks so good in spring training, and he's down there. He's just pitching okay right now. And Cooper, we had a kid that was drafted real high, and his name's it's HJERPE. I can't say his name, but he was one of our top draft choices, and he's already down in advanced A ball, and coming along at a good pace. And finally, our just A ball team, the Palm Beach Cardinals, and they're 9-8. A lot of these guys just came up out of rookie ball. We've got a couple guys with 6 stolen bases. Wo Bin Cho has 6 stolen bases, and there's a guy named Espinizo who's got 6. We've got a kid down there who is sort of like the Victor Scott of A-ball, and his name is Carvalho, and he's hitting .345 with 11 runs and 12 RBIs. And down there, we got a couple guys with Hunter Hayes. We got a kid down there that's doing pretty good in the bullpen with 2 saves. And we have a kid down there, a player of note named Joshua Baez, who I've read a lot about. He's in like our top 15 prospects overall. So he's down there working his way up. A lot of kids. Like I said, our win-loss records aren't spectacular, but we have a lot of young kids that look like they could be superstar type players eventually getting to the big leagues. So that's what's going on in our minors.
Very good. Thank you, Brody. Thank you, Max, for Down on the Farm. We are going to open up baseball cards. By the way, yes, I am drinking a giant Diet Coke, but it has taken me a few days to drink this, so I'm not going to be like this today. But before we open the baseball cards, the Padres are winning in the bottom of the 4th, 2-0. Yeah. Drew Smiley sucks. We need to get him out of here. What the heck is going on with that guy? So, JJ, what are you opening?
I'm opening. I got so many positive responses from last week for the Alan Ginter card, so I went out and got another pack. There's only 6 cards in these packs, but they look like the old-timey cards. These are 2022 Alan Ginter. Let's see what we got there. All right. Oh, hey. I like this one. Shane Bieber. There he is right there.
Very good.
2022. That's a guy, if the Cardinals need some pitching, that's one I wouldn't mind having. The kid from Boston, Alex, help me with the name. Verdugo. Yeah. Verdugo. There he is. I like that kid. He's a good player. I think they got him in the Mookie Betts trade. There was like 3 or 4 players they got, and I think he was one of the guys.
Yeah, he was one of them.
One of Brody's favorite, Rafael Devers from Boston. Right there. Very good third baseman. I think Boston would have rioted had they lost Bogarts and Devers this year. Kind of like a pitching gym here. Strasburg. There you go.
I remember that guy.
Yeah. I saw a special on Tony Gwynn, who, of course, played. It was from San Diego, went to college in San Diego, played for San Diego, and then he went back and coached at San Diego. And Strasburg was one of his players that came up through San Diego State and played for him and had nothing. Nobody ever says anything bad about Tony Gwynn, but had nothing but just wonderful things to say about Tony Gwynn. So it took Strasburg. I think he's a nice guy anyway. Here we go. The man-child himself, Manny Ramirez, right there. We're heavy. We're Boston heavy in this pack. That's 3 Boston guys. What the heck?
The Bean Eaters pack.
Yeah, and Houston Astro is a very good player, Alex Bergman. Right there.
No loser.
Yeah, all he does is win World Series. All right, that's it for that set. They only got 6 cards in a pack there.
Okay, I've got 2 more of the 87 Dondras, so this is second to the last pack. And of course, I like opening up the old cards because I want to see what kind of Hall of Famers I get.
Yeah,
and once more, look at that, the Stan the Man puzzle. That is the Cardinal uniform. Yeah, birds on the bat. Decent player. Played for the World Championship teams in Toronto, Kelly Gruber.
Oh, yeah, good third baseman.
Yeah. This is before he hit a strike because he got to where he was hitting 20, 30 home runs a year. And he's a left fielder on this card. So, but he's a part-time player at this time. Former University of Missouri quarterback. Also an outfielder for the Seattle Mariners. Phil Bradley. Played for the Phillies too.
Phil Bradley. Yeah.
Roberto Alomar.
Rated rookie, it looks like they're very good. That may be worth, you might have a big dollar one there.
Yeah. I spit on your card. Rhino. Yes.
Rhino. Well, that's royalty right there.
Oh, here's a player you're going to hate, Wally Backman.
Oh, yes, Wally Backman. Always got on base, get hit by the ball. Yeah, he did it all.
Yeah, I like this player, but he just had no humility to him. Glenn Braggs.
Yeah. Always talking smack. Love him. A third person.
I once got this guy's autograph when he played for the Expos. And up there, here. Signed it, and I was excited. Don't know where that autograph went. Chris Spire.
Okay. Yeah.
Mancini just homered, tying the game.
Hey.
He's really heated up after he got benched.
Well, after I started doing Hassini,
he realized he saw the segment and he started panicking.
Yeah,
that's
my gosh, I gotta
turn it up a notch.
Former Cardinal, former All-Star, still getting paid a lot of money by the Mets, Bobby Bonilla.
The greatest deal ever. Yeah.
I saw him in an airport once. Pretty cool. Speedster. Played for the Padres and the Pirates, Marvell Wynn.
Don't remember him. I don't remember that guy.
This was his first year third year with the Padres. He had 24 steals one year. 4th outfielder type guy. Another 4th outfielder type guy, Milt Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a Cardinal.
Oh, this guy I thought was going to be one of the great second basemen. He had a few really good years, and then he just kind of went down. Bill Doran.
Oh yeah, he was a solid player.
Yeah, he looked like he was gonna. I mean, listen to this. In '87, he played 162 games. He had 16 home runs, 79 RBIs, 31 stolen bases. And he hit 283. And he was just a really good player, and then kind of faded.
He had a nice career.
Yeah.
Nice career.
The pride of DeSoto, Missouri, Jose Oquendo.
Yes, there he is. The secret weapon.
Shortstop for the Angels, Dick Schofield.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do a theological joke here, who also produced a famous Bible, but most people probably would know what the Schofield Bible was. So, oh, Diamond Kings, Shane Raleigh, a decent starter who became a closer, and former Cub hitting coach, former Brewer manager. I think he managed Royals too. Dale Swaim.
Vaguely remember him.
And he wasn't anything too special, but he did better than me in baseball.
Better than me too.
Well, gentlemen, good luck to our teams this week.
Good luck, Cubs. You don't need any luck, but good luck to you.
Who do the Cardinals have coming up?
We have the final game with the Giants tonight. Then we finish our road trip with 3 against the Dodgers, and then we have a day off Monday, and we have to play the Angels. And I'm going to try to go to that Tuesday game because I'd like to have Brody see Trout and Ohtani.
Yeah.
See those guys. So I'm going to try to go to Tuesday's game and see the Angels play.
Or you could just wait till like the trade deadline and go to Chicago and see Ohtani pitch for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's closer, St. Louis? I'll just catch him now.
By the way, all we keep hearing about is the Rays, which we should. Hot start. Have you seen how hot that the Orioles are?
Good team.
They've won like 7 or 8 in a row. They're nipping right at the heels of the Rays, man. Yeah. Today, for some reason, I decided I was going to look at the American League. The Tigers doing pretty good. Pretty good things going on in the American League.
From the Cardinals' vantage point, we can't say anything about anybody. We should just keep our mouth shut right now and tiptoe while we can.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time, and we will see you next week. Next week, we do have trivia. And unless he backs out, we have Mike Phipps coming in to smack us around. We'll see how that goes.
I'll have to get it going.
All right. Thank you.